I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, Heather Heuman. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
I am doing great. Thank you so much for asking.
You are welcome. Well, it's a great pleasure to connect with you. Please tell us, what part of the world are you in right now?
Sure, I live in South Carolina on the East Coast, and I am about 2 hours inland from the ocean.
All right, which sounds like fun.
Yes.
So which of your talents, Heather, is responsible for us connecting at this time?
Well, I believe it would be my podcast, and I think that's ultimately what was our original connection.
Yeah. So tell us about the podcast and what you do there.
Sure. So, my podcast is the Business, Jesus, and Sweet Tea podcast. And so, I have a focus on working with Christian business owners and entrepreneurs. So, kind of like my niche in the marketing space is really coming alongside Christian entrepreneurs and businesses and helping them leverage how they can use social media strategy to grow and scale what they're doing in their business.
That's
And so we
super.
talk about that on the podcast, and we talk about Jesus, and we talk about just life, and just kind of intertwine that all kind of like in a business space.
Yeah. So where did the sweet tea come in from?
Well, I am from South Carolina, as I said, and as I was in the process of naming my brand about 3 years ago, I was like, okay, let me make a list of everything I love and I'm passionate about. And at first I was just joking, but I jotted down sweet tea. And because in the South, not everybody loves sweet tea, but lots of people do. And I'm one of those people, and I'm from the South, and it kind of resonates with my Southern culture and my roots here, having grown up in the South. And so I said, Sweet Tea Social has a good ring to it. And then I said, the domain's available. I'm going to buy it. And I just kind of went from there.
Wow, that's amazing. That is amazing. So who did you learn the skill of being your own unique real self from?
Well, I ultimately started with my, originally, I was a special education teacher, which segued into a career change in the digital marketing space around 17 years ago. So I've been in the digital marketing space, so to say, really back from the ICQ days and back in the days when everybody
Wow,
was
ICQ. Wow, the
yeah,
flower,
they're like,
right? Do you remember the
you should
flower?
buy. I do. And in fact, it's funny because, I was working for really large corporate clients then, and then it's kind of evolved over the last 6 or 7 years where I've grown two companies and used my background in digital marketing and really just found I have a sweet spot of coming alongside business owners that really are baffled and confused, and they're just not really understanding of how this social media thing can actually help them.
Mm.
And so I like video, I love talking, I like communicating in like an audible way. And so I just felt that the podcast was like a natural extension on how I wanted to expand my audience and just communicate with others.
Yeah, well done. Love it. I enjoyed it tremendously. In fact, while I was journaling this morning, I was listening to your podcast, and it ended where you gave a scripture verse that I found pretty fitting to what I do on the podcast. I think it's Colossians 4 and 13, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh,
Was that, could you remember? Can you remember? It was your last conversation you had with Abby, I think is her name.
I know. I can't remember. I sometimes will batch my Bible verses and
Okay.
I go through and I just kind of highlight scripture that stands out in my own quiet time, and I just kind of make a running list. And then sometimes I'll sit there and say, I'm going to go and record, 15 Bible verses today and then sync them up with upcoming episodes.
Makes
But that's
sense.
so encouraging to me to hear you say that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was pretty amazing to hear that. It would have been great if I could just play it, right? But yeah, it was super great to hear it. I was like, wow, yeah, that's what I do. It spoke to speaking to strangers and being mindful of how you answer them. 1 second. There we go.
Wisdom toward outsiders, making the best use of the time. Let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt, so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. Everyone be blessed.
There we go. I hope it went.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's awesome. I'm pretty impressed. You just queued that up right there.
Yeah, yeah, I listened to it today. It was pretty great. So I just pulled the phone. Yeah. But yeah, well done. Like, I was pretty impressed by that. Tremendous job on your podcast. Business, Jesus, and Sweet Tea. Well, tell us, Heather, one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years.
I think it's really been, as it relates to work, is I really feel that I have consistently shown up and made it a top priority to build relationships with people online. And that has both helped me grow my business and grow my brand and grow new opportunities. But I think it's important when we go out and we're telling people how to do things well, that we practice what we preach. And sometimes, if we might label ourselves as an introvert or an extrovert, or we just say, oh, I'm so busy, I have so many leads coming my way, I don't have time for social media. So I think that is something, not to sound boastful, but I feel because I love relationships with people and I really know really good marketing, that I have been able to, over the last several years, shown up on social media in a consistent way that allows me to invest time in current connections and relationships, as well as put forth the effort and energy to create new ones that has led to, just continued great relationships that oftentimes turns to deeper things like, great friendships.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I really enjoy it. In this conversation, I think what's unique is on the outward appearance, people find, because I like video and because I like the podcast and because I like to communicate, that everybody thinks you're an extrovert. When in fact, I am not an extrovert. I'm very happy as an
Mm,
introvert that I guess I don't want to say it plays the part, but because I'm all about relationships and building community, I feel that sometimes this space online maybe allows me to feel that I can maybe draw maybe more people that would maybe more so label themselves as an introvert, that the things I find easy to do, um, I feel it kind of lets me see a little glimpse into those different types of people, because sometimes people can label and say social media is going to only be effective if you have this personality type, or if you're bubbly, or if you're this. And so I like to kind of just go out there as a testimony to say, hey, look, you do need to know what you're talking about if you're teaching or training or trying to help others, but it doesn't mean that you have to sit down to record the video and be amazing on day one. Maybe it's
mm,
going to take you 15 days of recording the video, but it makes me feel good that I'm just able to help people just slowly get better and better along the journey.
mm. Love it. Amazing audience. You're hearing live from Heather Heuman. Again, she is the podcast host of Business, Jesus, and Sweet Tea. Ooh, I love me some sweet tea when I visit Tennessee. Most definitely down in the South. Well, Heather, is there any other place you'd like to point people to connect with you?
Sure. If anyone is interested in just learning more, either about me or just wants to connect and talk social media marketing strategies, my website would be the best place to go. And that's simply sweetteasocialmarketing.com. Or if they want to actually get inside of my free community, you can just go to facebook.com and in the search box, just type Sweet Tea Social. and look at groups, and you'll see my group that says social media for Christian entrepreneurs and owners. And I'd love to have you there. It's a free place to hang out and be among other like-minded business owners.
Super. Well, Heather, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Heather, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Oh boy, earliest childhood memory I would have to say would be going to kindergarten and just living in a space where we would be outside until dark till we'd hear our parents say, "Come inside, it's time for dinner."
How old do you think you were? Average age?
I was 5.
Yeah. Why do you think this particular memory is so clear?
I'm not sure. We moved around quite a bit, so like that's really the earliest place in my life that I remember living. And I don't know if it was the excitement of going on the school bus to school or what it was, but those are just kind of some great fond memories that stand out.
How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today, Heather?
I don't know. I think that, getting to know people and finding finding simplicity and enjoying the comforts and the things around you back then. And then I think till to today, I'm kind of like a self-proclaimed minimalist where I am more about less on the things and more about people and just being really thankful and appreciative for the stuff we have. So I think there's a little bit of a connection there.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, it's the introvert's best way of doing what the extrovert does, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's intriguing. So if we fast forwarded to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
My favorite song?
Yeah.
I'm laughing because it was probably a song by Debbie Gibson. Or Tiffany. All their songs are interchangeable in my mind. But yeah, Out of the Blue just kind of sticks in my mind. Out of the Blue.
Yeah, tell me. All right. We could take Out of the Blue. All right. Well, definitely you connect with people out of the blue sometimes, right? I'm joking.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, Heather, we've arrived at our destination. Mm-hmm. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Heather?
I'm ready.
Heather, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
I have an assistant that works with me. And though I don't necessarily know if I've ever phrased it that way, as a teacher, anything that I know that she wants to learn, as well as other people on my small team, I love sharing those skills. And I feel like I'm sharing all my skills kind of in my business with people I work with on a one-on-one basis or people that are in my like group coaching program on a work level.
All right. Are you married?
I am married. I've been married for 15 years.
Do you have children?
I have 3 children.
Wow.
And I have 3, and they're 7, 9, and almost 13.
Wow. Do you believe in God?
Absolutely.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
That's a question that seems simple, but I feel like I need to take an extra 30 seconds to answer it. I feel that I have a deep connection with people that I have a history with, that I went to college with, that the connection is the history and the nostalgia. And then I have an online group of friends that I've met in person through business conferences that I have probably more of a this is where I am in my life now space. So I almost feel like I have 2 separate inner circles for separate reasons.
All right. Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes, 3 hours a week.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
It's probably more than 8 hours a day.
Heather, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who Heather Heuman is, what would you say that is?
That statement would really be that we can go out using the gifts and the talents that we have and make a kingdom impact. And you don't have to do that by way of being a missionary and going off somewhere. You can do it in your real life with your kids, in your work, and just make it be a part of who you are.
I love it. Heather, this was a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
No, I'm just so excited to be here. What I would love is if anybody hears this and has never heard of this girl from South Carolina before called Heather Heuman with Sweet Tea Social Marketing, I would love for you to reach out and tell me exactly that you heard me on this conversation and that exactly how we got connected. I love those details.
I love it. Heather Heuman, again, great pleasure. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.